Previously on Skull Island.
You know what they call that place? Skull Island.
It looks like something straight out of the Day of the Dead celebration.
The skull is captured by an infrared camera that allows experts to analyze and track the intensity of the storm's raging winds. It's heading straight for the United States.
This is what is left when a blue supergiant star explodes. The center has a sort of keyhole structure and is packed full of clumpy dust and gas that was ejected by the explosion. The center has a sort of keyhole structure and is packed full of clumpy dust and gas that was ejected by the explosion.
Osaka, Japan. In the middle of this modern metropolis lies the Daisen Kofun, a tomb for one of Japan's long line of divine emperors. Covering over 400,000 square meters, the Daisen Kofun is considered the largest tomb by area in the world. There are more than 160,000 kofun dotting the Japanese archipelago, all of which contain the remains of emperors or their royal families.
There are burial mounds throughout the world. However, there's one specific shape that exists only in Japan, and this is the keyhole kofun.
Most of these can only be seen from the sky. This raises the question as to why emperors would be buried in such a way that they're actually being memorialized and being seen from the sky.
The Japanese believed that the royal family was descended from gods that came from the sky. So we have to wonder, is this a way for the extraterrestrials to identify the tombs of their ancestors?
Could the thousands of kofun dotting the Japanese islands contain the bodies of extraterrestrial beings? Curiously, in 2016, researchers studying high-resolution photos of the surface of Mars spotted an eerily similar keyhole-shaped mound.
Is this possibly a kofun found on Mars, bearing some lost extraterrestrial god? If so, we can see that there's definitely a connection between what we're seeing on Mars as some type of kofun burial site and over 160,000 of these found all over Japan.
A keyhole in the sky, obscured by smoke, has been seen in a newly published photograph from the Hubble Space Telescope. The telescope reported a reflection nebula located in Orion's neighborhood, some 1,350 light-years away. According to a blog post by the European Space Agency, reflection nebulae are only visible when lighted from inside, and in this instance, the light comes from a newborn star. V380 Orionis is a newly formed star that functions like a light in a dark room, illuminating the spiraling clouds of gas and dust that surround it. There is a pitch-black hole in the middle of the picture, suggesting a passageway into the depths of a mysterious place. When this picture was initially captured by the Hubble telescope in 1999, it was unclear if the apparent keyhole was a hole through the nebular material or a mass of unusually cold gas and dust, as stated by the European Space Agency, ESA. The keyhole was verified to be a hole by observations made with the Herschel Space Observatory, a more powerful space observatory than Hubble that operated for the European Space Agency from 2009 to 2013. The Hubble telescope and other space observatories continue their operations, delivering scientifically vital and occasionally beautiful vistas of the cosmos. Webb telescope often works in conjunction with other older space telescopes rather than replacing them. By working together, scientists are able to get new perspectives on cosmic occurrences or to piece together a more complete picture of faraway objects from several perspectives. According to ESA, scientists have yet to determine what caused the keyhole-shaped gap in the nebula.
Is anybody there? Okay. We're not actually looking to see if anybody's there, like down the hall or in a room hiding. We're today talking about pupil assessment, known as PERLA. So a quick, non-invasive checkup of your eye's health, function, and appearance is known as PERLA. This stands for pupils are equal, round, and reactive to light and accommodation.
Pupil amplitude refers to the difference between the minimum and baseline pupil diameter, also known as the maximum constriction amplitude, MCA for short. The baseline pupil diameter can be affected by a number of factors, which can in turn influence the MCA. For example, a smaller baseline pupil diameter will result in a smaller MCA. Take a look at this diagram. It is labeled pupil amplitude. Amplitude meaning vibration or oscillation from the measure and position of equilibrium, and pupil meaning of the eye. This image of the pupil amplitude looks very similar to something we've seen before. Let's take a look. Bingo! James Webb Telescope. Exactly like for like. Check the image out. Take a look at these images on the screen. I came across them not too long ago. I had no idea what they meant. I guess you could say I didn't have the eyes to see. Now we do. So let's take a look.
We got together and looked at the very first diffraction limited images that came out of the Webb telescope. And what we collectively saw as a group is we have the highest resolution infrared images taken from space ever. So you think of it as a blob on a picture, but it is extremely high resolution. We have exceeded every expectation. The telescope has performed better than the models said it should. We've even achieved, we talk about resolution and wavefront quality. We've done better in those regards than we thought we would do, and we're just thrilled to death. And to get there, we went through a process. Well, we did the segment identification, and then we formed the image array. And then once they were in the image array, we used this phase retrieval technology to position each of the mirror segments and the secondary mirror itself.
As you can see, the images we've been looking at have been the James Webb Telescope all along, in plain sight.
Such that all the optical aberrations were effectively eliminated. We tilt the mirror segments to bring the light from each mirror so that it falls on top of each other at a common point in the middle of the detector. And we call that image stacking. And that concentrates all the light in a single place, but the images, the segments themselves are not cooperating. They're not working together at that point. They're all their own individual telescope. And the next phase in the process is something we call coarse phasing. And that's where we adjust, well, literally it's the piston. It's the up and down motion of the mirror segments relative to each other. We control the piston of the segments so that they all come together in creating a complete monolithic primary mirror. I cannot wait to see what it discovers.
James Webb Telescope. A friend of mine said it reminds him of a ray gun. James Webb Weaponscope.
When we look out into space, sometimes we see familiar things from home. Take a close look at NASA's latest out-of-this-world image from the James Webb Space Telescope, and you'll spot something of this world. Scientists are calling this the penguin and the egg, two galaxies dancing around one another more than 300 million light years from Earth.
Don't worry, a chrysalis is just forming around you. That's perfectly normal.
Scientists are calling this the penguin and the egg. Two galaxies dancing around one another more than 300 million light years from Earth.
So the James Webb telescope was able to find the penguin in the egg. The Madagascar penguins was inside the egg. Take a look at the device. It almost looks like a type of weapon, ray gun type. The James Webb telescope not only looks like a weapon, but when the mirrors are aligned, it reminds me of something.
We tilt the mirror segments to bring the light from each mirror so that it falls on top of each other at a common point in the middle of the detector. And we call that image stacking. And that concentrates all the light in a single place.
Right here, all the lights being concentrated in a single place. With this type of image stacking, this symbol looks like the star Sirius. Take a look.
Maybe these giant kofun shapes in Japan are not keyhole shapes, but the shape of an ancient sun manifesting a great pillar towards our planet. Just like is depicted at the geoglyphs in Saudi Arabia, they are depicting a great plasmatic event when planet Saturn manifested a great pillar towards our planet. The cosmic waters, the holy waters, plasmatic waters from which the first man would emerge, the Son of God.
NASA recently discovered something called X-points around Earth. These are naturally occurring portals that open and close every single day. NASA recently discovered something called X-points around Earth. X-points around Earth.
A NASA solar sail that you can spot from the ground. There's a new opportunity to observe a bright NASA spacecraft sailing across the night sky. NASA's Advanced Composite Solar Sail System, or ACS-3, is a small satellite that's testing new technologies in low Earth orbit. It recently deployed its 30-foot wide solar sails. These are a means of propulsion that could allow small spacecraft to sail on sunlight. The ACS-3 solar sails are highly reflective and make the spacecraft appear nearly as bright as Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. You can find out when the solar sail spacecraft will pass over your location using the NASA app on your mobile device.
Orbital has a new lighting service where you can play with the spot.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, watch this. Just bring it over to us here. Isn't that crazy?
No way.
Are you tired of stumbling around in the dark? Imagine lighting up your nights like never before. Check this out. Reflect Orbital is working on cracking the code. They're developing an app that will let you order sunlight at night. Yep, you heard it right. Just imagine whipping out your phone, tapping a few times, and boom! Sunlight reflected from a satellite, straight to your location. No more gloomy evenings or dark backyard parties. Imagine the possibilities. This futuristic concept is going viral, and it's easy to see why. Ready to light up your night? Stay tuned for the launch and experience the future soon.
They are depicting a great plasmatic event when planet Saturn manifested a great pillar towards our planet. This became known as the cosmic waters, the holy waters, plasmatic waters from which the first God would emerge, the Son of God.
This keyhole structure looks very old and still magnificent. If you look very closely, it is telling us a story. This structure is linked to the plasma event, maybe even the sun. What else can we find that had a similar shape like a keyhole but brings death and destruction? Let's take a look. Right, and what do we have here? The Walden Cliff Tower, built in 1901 to 1917. This was also known as the Tesla Tower. It was an early experimental wireless transmission station built and designed by Nikola Tesla. This Tesla Tower resembles the keyhole figure we've been looking into. Same striking appearance, but different in energy. Nikola Tesla's Walden Cliff Tower was designed to transmit alternating current electricity wirelessly around the world. Tesla's vision was to provide free electricity, music, news, and other information to the public place. And on the other hand, this keyhole structure did not bring wireless information to the public, but it brought death and destruction through the plasmatic events.
They are depicting a great plasmatic event when planet Saturn manifested a great pillar towards our planet. This became known as the cosmic waters, the holy waters, plasmatic waters from which the first god would emerge, the Son of God.
So Saturn manifested a beam of plasma towards the Earth from out in space. Okay, let's see if we can locate any type of plasma device out in space. Let's go.
Near the end of World War II, rumors leaked to the Allies that Nazi Germany has weaponized a beam of deadly energy. Could this be the smoking gun that proves the Nazis stole Nikola Tesla's death ray plans and killed him for them?
We found out shortly after the American forces captured a base at Hillersleben in Germany. Some of Germany's top scientists were working on a Sonnengewehr, or sun gun.
The Nazis' secret plans for the sun gun plot out a mile-wide concave reflective surface mounted in space. Like a real-life Death Star, it would focus solar rays onto enemy cities and destroy them.
The scientist interviewed by the Americans said this was a project that had been authorized by Hitler.
While it appears ambitious and destructive, the proposed Nazi weapon bears little resemblance to Tesla's death ray.
We are back again with Archimedes giving us the parabolic mirror, using it to destroy the vessels to cause maximum damage. James Webb Telescope, another form of technology, more modern. It also uses mirrors as well, mirrors and light.
We tilt the mirror segments to bring the light from each mirror so that it falls on top of each other at a common point in the middle of the detector, and we call that image stacking. And that concentrates all the light in a single place, but the images, the segments themselves are not cooperating. They're not working together at that point. They're all their own individual telescope.
And the Agartha Hollow Earth cosmology model seems to have a shiny reflective apparatus outside in its orbit.
A NASA solar sail that you can spot from the ground. There's a new opportunity to observe a bright NASA spacecraft sailing across the night sky.
The Nazis' secret plans for the sun gun plot out a mile-wide concave reflective surface mounted in space. Like a real-life Death Star, it would focus solar rays onto enemy cities and destroy them.
What does it mean to be a son of God? Do you have to have a sun weapon? Nikola Tesla, Hitler and the Nazis, NASA and Archimedes all had a device that uses the sun beams to bring mass destruction.
What about the Soviets? They secretly bought Tesla's early concepts for the death ray in 1935 and may have wanted Tesla dead to prevent him from sharing the designs with their rivals, or so they could steal more complete plans. For decades, American intelligence suspects the Soviet Union are making a death ray, and at the height of the Cold War, they think they find proof.
In the mid-1970s, the U.S. government became concerned that the Soviets were developing a particle beam weapon at a remote location in Kazakhstan.
Overhead surveillance satellites spotted a weird configuration of equipment in Kazakhstan. They were concerned that this bizarre-looking contraption was actually a version of Tesla's death ray machine.
Around the same time, in 1976, a confidential U.S. intelligence report records a blinding beam of light seen by pilots of British European Flight 831 while it passed over Western Soviet Union.
In the mid-1970s, the U.S. government became concerned that the Soviets were developing a particle beam weapon.
1907, at China's Mogu Caves, known as the Caves of the Thousand Buddhas, which forms a system of 500 temples. Thousands and thousands of ancient documents were being examined here by Aurel Stein when this large diagram was discovered, rolled up and sealed in a pottery jar. This is a Buddhist diagram of Mount Meru, and so-called experts say it dates to the 2nd century, and that this reflects a sacred site of a stairway which connected the heavens above with the earth below. Wait till you hear this. This ancient image has been compared by experts to be a blueprint for a particle beam accelerator in modern times. The most significant comparison being that of a cyclotron, which is an atom smasher used in the development of atomic weapons. Ancient Mongolian mythology suggests that celestial beings dwelled around Meru because of the energy.
Back to the James weapon scope and the magical mirrors. Pay close attention to the black dot in the center. I'm going to take you somewhere, but you'll never guess where I found this frame right here. Let's go. Bingo! And there we have it. The James Webb telescope image seems to be in the same location as the electron guns and the particle beam accelerations. Very interesting. Let's dig a little deeper. A spectrometer is a scientific instrument used to separate and measure spectral components of a physical phenomena. If you take a look at the camera, you can see it is on tracks, meaning it slides back and forth in the tube to get better results. In, out, in, out. We are back again with the penguins. They were showing us something on their death ray. Have a look. These two bits on the top poking out, they remind me of the spectrometer meter gun. Take a look. The camera inside the vessel would be like the lens inside of our eye, which is made out of a chrysalis. Take a look. The penguin is the lens inside the eye.
A chrysalis is just forming around you. That's perfectly normal.
So we've had Archimedes and his parabolic lens. We've had NASA and their James Weapon telescope and the reflective solar cells. The Nazi and their concave lens, a mile in diameter, and Tesla and his death ray machine. Back to the spectrometer, vacuum, microengineering. You know they say anything done on a micro level can easily be replicated on a macro level. Let's go. So the electron gun shoots through the luminescent screen and hits the crystals right in the middle. If Tesla had a death ray, where did he get the idea from? Could it be possible that he just reverse engineered what was already here? If this is so, maybe the ancestors left us some diagrams and blueprints. Let's connect some dots real quick.
became concerned that the Soviets were developing a particle beam weapon.
Really excited about today. Incredibly proud of the SpaceX team. They've done an incredible job of creating really the most advanced rocket in the world and biggest rocket in the world. I'm still trying to absorb everything that happened because it seems surreal to me. I had this image of just a giant explosion on the pad with, a wheel bouncing down the road, and like the Tesla logo landing somewhere with a thud. But fortunately, that's not what happened.